All right, so, you know, let's dive into something I think a lot of us guys struggle with. Um, those early conversations with women where we're trying to make a good impression,
Right.
those moments where you want to come across as confident and interesting,
Yeah.
but maybe end up feeling a little awkward instead.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're going to break down some common mistakes guys make without even realizing it. And this is based on this piece called Five Things You're Saying That Turn Women Off, and You Don't Even Know It.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah, so let's jump right into the first point here. The danger of over-complimenting a woman's appearance. Now, you might think showering someone with praise about how beautiful they are would be a surefire way to win them over,
Yeah.
but is that really the case?
Well, I think while genuine compliments are always appreciated,
Mm-hmm.
there's a fine line between appreciation and coming across as superficial or insincere.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
think about it. If a woman is attractive, she's probably heard it all before.
Right, exactly. She's probably tired of guys just focusing on her looks.
Exactly. And when you shower her with generic compliments like, "You're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen,"
Oh, yeah.
it can actually have the opposite effect. It signals a lack of originality and makes her feel like you're not really seeing her as an individual.
Right. And to be honest, isn't there a bit of a self-preservation thing going on there, too?
Oh, for sure.
If she thinks you say that to every woman you meet, she's not going to feel very special.
Absolutely. It makes you blend in with all the other guys who are just focused on her physical appearance.
So what's the alternative? How do you compliment a woman without falling into that trap?
Well, the key is to be specific and genuine. Instead of commenting on her overall beauty, try complimenting something unique about her personality or style
Okay.
that truly caught your eye.
Can you give us an example?
Let's say you notice she has a really cool sense of style.
Okay.
Instead of saying, "You look pretty," you could say something like, "I love your style. You really know how to put together a great outfit."
Okay.
Or maybe you admire her quick wit. You could say, "You're incredibly sharp. I love how you can turn any conversation into something interesting." These kinds of compliments show you're actually paying attention to who she is as the person, not just what she looks like.
That makes a lot of sense. It's
Uh-huh.
about showing you're interested in more than just surface level attraction. Okay, so we've tackled the over-complimenting trap. What's the next mistake guys often make without realizing it?
This one might surprise you, starting a conversation with an apology.
Really? You mean like, sorry to bother you, or excuse me.
Right.
Isn't being polite a good thing?
Politeness is important, of course. But starting a conversation with an apology can actually undermine your presence from the get-go.
I'm not sure I follow. How can a simple apology be a bad thing?
Well, think about the message it sends. When you apologize for approaching someone, you're essentially saying, "I don't really believe I have the right to talk to you." It suggests a lack of confidence and makes you seem like you're putting yourself in a subservient position.
I see what you mean. It's like you're already starting the interaction from a place of weakness.
Exactly. And that can be a turnoff because it shows you don't value your own time or presence.
So instead of starting with an apology, what's a better way to initiate a conversation?
Lead with confidence and directness. Instead of saying, "Sorry to interrupt, but," you could try something like, "Hey, I was just noticing you from across the room and wanted to come say hi."
Right.
Or, "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation about topic. It sounds really interesting."
So it's about owning your presence and showing you're not afraid to take the initiative. No more timid apologies. Got it. Okay, what's the next conversational pitfall we should be aware of?
This one's all about the art of the conversation starter. You know those guys who open with a simple, "Hey," or "What's up?"
Yeah.
It seems harmless enough, but
Yeah, I can see how that could be a bit
Mhm.
underwhelming. It puts all the pressure on the other person to figure out what to say next.
Exactly. It just shows a lack of effort and creativity. And let's be honest, it's just plain boring.
So instead of relying on those generic conversation starters, what's a more engaging approach?
The key is to come up with something that sparks her curiosity and makes her want to engage with you. Instead of, "Hey," you could try something like, "I'm really impressed by your taste in music.
Okay.
What are you listening to these days?" Or, "You seem like someone who appreciates good coffee. What's your favorite spot in town?"
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture here. It's about showing you're genuinely interested in getting to know her and creating a connection beyond just superficial small talk.
Right. It's about demonstrating that you've put some thought into your approach and that you see her as an individual, not just someone to chat with out of boredom.
All right, so we've covered over-complimenting, ditching the apologies, and crafting engaging conversation starters. What's next on the list of attraction killers?
This one might seem counterintuitive, but constantly showering a woman with approval can actually backfire.
Well, you mean being too agreeable?
Right.
I thought being positive and supportive was always a good thing.
To a point, yes. But when you agree with everything she says and constantly validate her opinions, it can start to feel insincere and even a little desperate.
So instead of just saying, "That's amazing," or "I totally agree to everything she says,"
try mixing in some playful teasing, healthy skepticism, or genuine curiosity.
could you give me an example of what that might sound like?
If sure. Let's say she mentions she's a big fan of a particular band that you're not crazy about.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying, "Oh yeah, I love them too,"
Right.
you could playfully say something like, "Really, I've never quite understood the appeal, but maybe you can convert me."
Yeah.
Or if she mentions she's really into a certain hobby that you know nothing about, instead of pretending to be an expert, you could say something like, "That sounds really interesting. Tell me more about it. What is it about hobby that you find so captivating?"
Okay, I see what you mean. It's about keeping the conversation dynamic and interesting instead of just being a yes man.
Exactly. Women are attracted to men who have their own opinions and aren't afraid to challenge them a little.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between being supportive and maintaining your own sense of individuality.
Precisely. Now, the next mistake we're going to delve into is all about how you phrase your requests, particularly when it comes to escalating the interaction. So, it's interesting, we've been talking about the importance of confidence and how it plays a role in attraction.
Yeah, it definitely seems like a recurring theme, but it's not always easy to project that confidence, especially when you're feeling nervous or unsure of yourself.
Absolutely. And that's where body language and vocal tone come into play.
Okay.
Even if you're saying all the right things, your nonverbal cues can betray your inner feelings and sabotage your efforts.
So are you saying it's not just about what you say, but how you say it?
Exactly. Think about it this way. You can have the most amazing pickup line in the world.
Okay.
But if you deliver it with a shaky voice, slumped shoulders, and shifty eyes, it's going to fall flat.
Okay, I can see that. So what are some common body language mistakes guys make that might be sending the wrong signals?
One of the biggest culprits is fidgeting.
Okay.
Playing with your phone, adjusting your clothes, or constantly touching your face can make you seem nervous and distracted.
Yeah, I've definitely been guilty of that.
Yeah.
When I'm feeling anxious, I tend to fidget without even realizing it.
It's a natural response to stress.
Yeah.
But it can be off-putting because it signals a lack of comfort and presence. Another common mistake is avoiding eye contact.
Right. You don't want to stare her down,
Right.
but you also don't want to come across as evasive or uninterested.
Exactly. Steady eye contact shows you're engaged in the conversation and genuinely interested in what she has to say. It also conveys a sense of confidence and masculinity.
What about posture? Does that play a role in attraction?
Absolutely. Slouching or hunching over makes you appear smaller and less confident. Standing or sitting up straight with your shoulders back and your head held high projects an aura of confidence and strength. It also makes you look more approachable and open.
So we've talked about fidgeting, eye contact, and posture. What about vocal tone?
Sure.
How can that impact attraction?
Well, your voice is an incredibly powerful tool. A strong, clear voice can be very attractive because it conveys confidence and authority.
What are some things guys should keep in mind when it comes to their vocal tone?
One of the most common mistakes is speaking too quickly, especially when you're nervous. It can make you sound unsure of yourself and difficult to understand.
So slow down and enunciate clearly.
Right, and don't be afraid to use pauses for emphasis. It can add drama and intrigue to your delivery.
It's like the difference between reading a script and telling a captivating story.
Exactly. And just like a good storyteller, you want to vary your tone and pitch to keep things interesting.
No monotone droning on.
Precisely. Adding a bit of inflection and emotion to your voice can make you sound more engaging and charismatic.
So we've covered body language and vocal tone. Are there any other nonverbal cues we should be aware of when it comes to attraction?
Well, there's one more important aspect we need to touch on. The article concludes with a really powerful point.
Okay.
The importance of detaching from the outcome of an interaction.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, it's about approaching conversations with a sense of ease and curiosity, rather than putting too much pressure on yourself to win her over.
Okay.
When you're too focused on getting a specific response, it can create a sense of desperation that's a real turnoff.
So it's more about enjoying the connection and seeing where things go naturally.
Exactly. The less you chase, the more attractive you become. Confidence comes from being comfortable in your own skin,
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome.
That's such a great point. When you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, you come across as more relaxed and confident.
Absolutely. And that sense of ease is contagious.
Yeah.
It makes the interaction more enjoyable for both of you.
So it's about shifting your mindset from, I need to impress her, to, I'm just going to have a great conversation and see what happens.
Precisely. And that kind of genuine, authentic energy is incredibly attractive.
You know, it's interesting to me. It seems like all these mistakes that we've been talking about,
Yeah.
the over-complimenting, the apologizing,
Right.
the need for constant validation, they all kind of stem from a place of insecurity.
That's a really insightful observation.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. You see, when you're not comfortable in your own skin, you tend to seek external validation to boost your self-esteem.
Which makes total sense. If you don't feel good about yourself, you're more likely to try to impress others and seek their approval.
Exactly. But here's the catch. True confidence comes from within. It's not something you can get from someone else.
So how do you cultivate that inner confidence?
Well, it's a journey, not a destination. It involves self-awareness, self-acceptance, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone.
So it's not just about learning some clever pickup lines or mastering the art of body language.
Those things can help, but they're just tools. The real transformation happens on a deeper level. It's about recognizing your worth and value, regardless of external validation.
That's powerful. And I think it ties back to what we were talking about earlier, detaching from the outcome.
Right.
When you're not so worried about whether she likes you or not, you can just be yourself and enjoy the interaction.
Exactly. And that authenticity is magnetic. Women are drawn to men who are comfortable in their own skin and don't need to put on a show.
So what's the key takeaway from all of this?
Well, I think the biggest lesson here is that attraction isn't about following a set of rules or playing games. It's about being genuine, confident, and respectful.
And being aware of those subtle behaviors
Right.
that can unintentionally sabotage your efforts.
Absolutely. By understanding the psychology behind attraction and making conscious choices about how you interact with women, you can dramatically increase your chances of making a genuine connection.
This has been such an eye-opening deep dive. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective on how to approach those early interactions with women.
Yeah, me too. It's fascinating how seemingly small changes in our behavior can have such a big impact on how we're perceived.
Okay, well, before we wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. What other subtle behaviors might be influencing attraction that we haven't covered today? I encourage you to observe your own interactions and those of others. You might be surprised by what you discover.
That's a great challenge.
Yeah.
Remember, awareness is the first step towards change. So pay attention, be mindful, and keep experimenting.
And most importantly, have fun with it. That's it for today's deep dive into the art of attraction. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those conversations flowing.